Hello, wonderful people. We are back with another Chris McPherson Show Daily Dose, and we are coming to you to talk all things day one of the third test in the Frank Worrell Trophy Series between the West Indies and Australia. And after the up in the air nature of would it not be a day-night test, we finally got to the point of deciding that the pink Dukes ball would be out and it would be a pink ball spectacle in Kingston. And up went the exciting excitement rating, I should say, certainly for our bowling contingents. Australia amplified this by a somewhat surprising, in some quarters, omission of Nathan Lyon for the first time since 2013. He was opted out of. We know he missed those tests during the 2023 Ashes with that Achilles injury. But Scott Boland came in as part of a 4 or 5 prong pace attack, depending on how you want to look at it, meaning that Travis Head and that fifth prong Beau Webster will likely be the spin bowling options for Australia should we need them. The hosts, the West Indies, however, they went the other way. They brought back in frontline spinner Jamel Warrican. He was recalled in place of Anderson Phillip, while Mikhail Lewis came back into their test side. Initially named at the top of the order, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on, as a replacement for the embattled Craig Braithwaite, who's averaged just 18 with the bat since the start of 2024. We also saw Kevlon Anderson come in on debut as a replacement for Casey Carty. Anderson has been knocking down the door. He scored an average of 71.6 with the bat in this season's West Indies Championship. And based on how their batting lineup has been performing in the opening test, you can certainly see why they decided to go with Anderson coming in. So great to see Kevlon getting his opportunity. Australia would have headed into this test full of confidence. 12 out of 13 pink ball tests for Australia have gone their way so far in the day-nighters. But notably all on home shores. This is the first time Australia in 14 now day-night tests have played one overseas. And again, the first time they've dealt with the pink Dukes ball. They're also full of confidence, as we know, leading the series, an unassailable 2-0 lead in that Frank Worrell Trophy. And it certainly boded well for Australia. They won the toss. They made the decision to bat first and make the best of the daylight batting hours. It wasn't exactly clinical from them early on for the visitors. There was plenty of movement off the deck and through the air, plenty in it for the bowlers, that was for sure, even in the daylight hours. However, they managed to see the shine off the new ball, the Aussies, and things were starting to look a little ominous for the West Indies. But there were a few moments there. We saw a spilt catch early off the batting of Constance. He got another life. And the Aussie openers appeared to be just settling in and getting rolling. But then Justin Graves come on as a change in the bowling and trapped Sam Constance in front. Constance tried the DRS review, hoping that it might have just been tailing away down the leg side, but it showed to be crashing into the top of his leg stump, and the young Aussie was on his way back to the pavilion again. Another meagre score for him, just 17 from 53 deliveries. So it wasn't, again, nothing to secure him. He's still on the ropes, you feel. He's having real trouble in the Caribbean and has far from cemented his spot as of yet, but we'll see what he can do in the second innings. It certainly appeared as that first session, though, then wore on, that the Aussies were starting to get on top. Cameron Green, Usman Khawaja were combining. They lifted the team score up to 1 for 50 at the close of the first session. However, after the break, the pair could only add a further 18 runs before Usman was on his way back to the pavilion for a very patient 23 from 92 deliveries, and certainly played in a nice traditional sense, I guess, from that point of view. He didn't try and take on the bowling. They were getting plenty of reward off the deck and some movement through the air, as I said. He was just trying to capitalise on when there was opportunities, but eventually it was a stunning diving catch to Shy Hope, diving away, got almost horizontal to the ground to take it well to his left, and it almost had to be seen to be believed. It was a phenomenal catch, and I think Khawaja was quite surprised to be heading back to the pavilion for 23, but it just put a little bit of a dent in those Aussie hopes. They started to get that momentum going, and then it started to fall apart. But Steve Smith came to the crease, and he started to take the bowlers on and upping the tempo a little bit. Smith and Green, they combined nice fluid fashion, and they were caressing and careening balls through the infield, quickly raced up to a 50-run partnership in the second session. And they started to send some ominous signs to the West Indies faithful in attendance, and the Windies bowlers would have known they needed to find something and find it fast. And that they did. Jaden Seals was the man to stand tall for the host, and he just managed to steer a ball through Cameron Green's defences, wonderfully bowled, shattered the stumps, and sent the Aussie 3 back to the sheds, just shy of a half century, out for 46, and Australia 3 for 129 in the shadows of the dinner break. Travis Head joined former captain Steve Smith at the crease, and they managed to add 9 more before that dinner break. And Australia were looking to be in a pretty solid position. However, they would have known that the shadows were coming across, the light was continuing to fade, and we would have been under the floodlights with that pink ball, and it starts to do some damage, and especially when you've got the likes of Shamar Joseph and Graves and these sorts of bowlers in your arsenal. It was never going to be an easy final session of day one, and it was just 4 overs after resumption that Steve Smith did depart, and like Cameron Green, he's within touching distance of that half century. Shamar Joseph, again, that Aussie destroyer, he lured an aggressive hack from Smith. It wasn't a great shot, and I'm sure when he watches it back on replay, he would have loved to have had it again. Well wide of his off stump, and that 45-degree dangerous angle with the bat that just went through, well taken by Brandon King in the slips, and saw him out for 48, and Australia's hopes starting just to stammer a little bit. With the floodlights in full effect, though, the Australian middle order thought some further resistance might be the key, but batting was clearly getting more challenging. Shamar Joseph then managed to earn a feathering edge through to Shy Hope again for a simple catch off Bo Webster, the all-rounder, departing for just one. Australia looking, pardon the pun, a little edgy at 5 for 161. Alex Carey came to the crease and managed to get himself past 11, which was the milestone he required to get to 2,000 career test runs in just his 43rd test. That puts him behind only Adam Gilchrist when we're talking about Aussie wicket keepers batting average, and he was looking good. Travis Head decided to up the tempo, and Carey joined in. He raced to 20 on 15 balls. Head decided to go one too many times, and he attempted to use a lofted drive through the covers. It was stunningly taken, diving back and away by substitute fielder Anderson Phillip. A really athletic take from the fast bowler, and he was horizontal full stretch again, and it was just some phenomenal fielding and a key wicket, sending Travis Head back to the dressing room. Pat Cummins came to the crease, and again he decided to do the same. He realised that batting wasn't going to be easy, so he was just going to counter attack. He, however, quickly lost his partner in Carey. He's caught behind by Shy Hope from the bowling of Greaves. And Australia was suddenly 7 for 198, having lost 4 for 41 from that strong position earlier at 3 for 157. Enter Mitch Starc in his 100th test, and you thought maybe here's the fairy tale moment. But he lasted only 4 balls and was unable to score. He was clean bowled by Jaden Seals. A very extravagant drive down the ground was what Starc was attempting, and the ball just crashed through his efforts. His bat got nowhere near it, and he was back in the change rooms as well for a duck. Pat Cummins then, I guess, played a bit of a lone hand from there, added another 17 runs in partnership with Boland, most of them coming from the bat of Cummins before he was out. Caught by the debutant Kevlon Anderson from the bowling of Jaden Seals, his 3rd wicket. Scotty Boland and Josh Hazlewood then managed to add just 9 more runs before Hazlewood fell caught in the deep, having a crack. The catch taken by Alzari Joseph from the bowling of Shamar Joseph to have the Aussies all out for 225 with no surprises. Shamar Joseph, the Aussie slayer, leading the way, 4 for 33 from 17.5 overs. And the Aussies would have been ruining missed opportunities. They had 5 batters that got genuine starts, 6 if you count Constas, and none managed to go on with it. None took it to a half century, 2 into the 40s, a number in the 20s. And again, just not able to really turn the screws. I know that the batting on these Caribbean decks has been tough, and it would have been even tougher under lights, but you feel that at least one of them should have capitalised and got us north of 250, maybe closer to that 300 to set a really imposing target. The positive of Australia falling at that point for 225 was that meant the West Indies did have to navigate a few overs through the end of the evening. Before stumps. And look, they went with a bit of an unexpected reshuffle, sending out Brandon King in just his 3rd test and debutant Kevlon Anderson. The partnership lasted only 26 balls as Anderson fell unsurprisingly to the 100-test veteran, the pink ball star in Mitchell Starc. We know how much he loves bowling with the pink kookaburra, and he took just as well to the pink Dukes ball. Clean bowling Anderson for 3 from 14 deliveries. The batting surprises, though, continued to come. We're expecting, some other names to come out, but Captain Roston Chase came to the crease, and Chase and Brandon King managed to steer their side to stumps at 1 for 16 from 9 overs, with a huge first session coming to start day 2. What we know from here is there's a tiny bit of rain predicted tomorrow, much more predicted through on Monday. Certainly local time, it'll be Tuesday morning, Australian time. So the West Indies are going to need to capitalise this reshuffled batting lineup. They need to reduce this 209-run deficit and maybe even establish a first innings lead, which would be huge for them. And this pair could be really crucial. They're 2 of their most informed bats. Roston Chase has been good. Brandon King, we saw him bring up that half century in the last test. So this could be an opportunity. If they can get some runs on the board and maybe steer themselves to 70 or 80 at least before the next fall of wicket, they're going to be in a strong position. It'll set the platform then for some of their other batters to come in and take their opportunities, I guess you would say. when you have a look at that batting lineup and what they can do. You need some momentum, I think. Mikhail Lewis coming back into the team, John Campbell, you would expect the two of those to open. However, they're going to come a little bit later. Shai Hope can counter-attack and punch a little bit later in the day, maybe. As I said, if these guys can go on and again, maybe another King or a Chase 50, it's really going to turn this match on their head. And Australia will be in an interesting position. They'll need to justify that selection of an all-out pace attack. We saw bowling from all four of them across the opening 9 overs overnight. So what we will see from them tomorrow will be the big question. Can they take wickets, take them with consistency? The deck's going to give them plenty. There'll be a bit of cloud cover about as well, probably in the second session. So, it'll be interesting to see where that comes, where the rain hits. It's sort of, as I said, predicted to hit around that, what would be the tea break. It's still that sort of normal time after the first session into the early second session. So we'll see if it holds to that or if it comes a little earlier. Looking forward to day 2. I think this one's well on the balance. The West Indies are in with a shout here, but they need a bit of resilience and resistance from their batting. But time will tell. We'll be back tomorrow with another daily dose. Don't forget to check out our weekly episode as well that dropped a little earlier this week. And, of course, you can keep up to date with us on social media at The Chris Mack Show on all your social media platforms. But until tomorrow, we'll have another daily dose for you. Enjoy your cricket, enjoy all your other sport across the back end of your weekend, and we'll chat to you again soon.